Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. So we'll be listening to the second part of the last week episode, Evolution for Dummies, and Tavian takes us on the journey to understand evolution a little better. So if you haven't subscribed up, Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other places you find podcasts available, then check out the show notes for links you may find useful, especially our Discord server. We'd love to have you there. So now, let's go and listen to the rest of Evolution for Dummies with Tavian. Please, that's why this episode is especially for you to talk as much as to just scatter our head, because one keyword that I held on to that when you were defining evolution was natural selection. Like, if it's possible, like the basic principles in simple terms, how natural selection operates. Because that's also one place where the religious always form and God they do the selection, all those type shit.
No, come on. Who says that shit?
You seem to underestimate the.
No. So wait. So it's God that gave malaria natural selection to develop. When 2UU, the Chinese scientists discovered atomycin, right? I can't remember how long it was now. This was supposed to be this wonder drug that combated this anti-malaria drug, yeah? And she found it by reading ancient Chinese writings. That's where she discovered the extract of I think it's called the worm or something. I'm going to find it. Anyway, when she discovered it, she won a Nobel Prize for it, right?
Yeah.
But I remember saying, atomycin that those bastard parasites are going to develop resistance to pretty soon. And what do you think happened? That's exactly what happened. Then they found that artemisinin-resistant malaria was discovered in Southeast Asia. So, here's what you have to accept. God is sitting there while malaria parasites are killing Nigerian children more than anywhere in the world. And when we discover medicine that can stop these parasites, God will say, "Oh yeah, I'm bored, Joe. Let me allow natural selection to give these parasites the wayo that they will use to defeat this atomycin that my children have just found." And the only reason I'm doing this is because Adam and Eve listened to a talking snake. I mean, bro, come on. Let's be real. Does it even make sense to even think like that? You cannot understand the mechanisms of disease and still hold on to such an idiotic idea. Unless, of course, you want to put your hands up and say, this God is not a nice God. And don't even get me started on cancer.
God damn.
Bro, disease really does open your eyes to how evolution favors those who survive long enough with beneficial mutations to pass on those mutations to their descendants. That's all it is. It's actually really simple when you look at it. So for me, it's difficult for people to kind of let go of the idea that they've been inculcated with as a child, that, God did it, and some people believe it's Yahweh, some people believe it's Allah, some people believe it's other gods. Well, they can't all be right, can they?
Oh.
But they can all be wrong.
Yes.
But the saddest thing is, for me as an African, is that obviously, I don't know if I told you, I work in Imperial College Health. Yes, microbiology. So every so often we'll read something.
It's evidence from all you have been sharing.
But I mean, and I'm not saying that's not to say I'm saying I'm an expert or anything. I'm just
as a matter
than
the average Joe. So
well, fair enough. But every so often, we would read about an expedition to Africa because they're trying to understand the history of our species, or they're trying to understand the history of a particular pathogen that affects humans. And because we now know that humans originated in Africa, we're not descended from Adam and Eve, bro. But the problem is, Africans don't want to hear that. And this is what baffles me the most. One of my mentors, he's gone now. He always used to say to me, Tavian, your people are remarkable. He never understood how we were so averse to the scientific findings that is actually saying Africa is the home of our species. But Africans will say they will say they are Jew. They will say they're descended from Moses, or Moses is black, or this one is black,
Jesus is that period. Jesus is black. They don't start there. I'm like, motherfucker. Whether it's purple or pink, prove the motherfucker rose from the dead and shut the fuck up.
It doesn't matter what color it is, it's still nonsense. And even if they could prove that Jesus came from Ijubode, sorry, I have to say that because it just cracks me up. Because I always joke on Facebook when they say Jesus was black or something, I say maybe it's from Ijubode. Because I call Nigerians Nigerian. I always call them Nigerians.
Yeah.
I always call them. I say, look at it. When they start crying about their imaginary friend, I say, look at Nigerians. They're doing. My mentor used to say, he said, your people swallowed our myths, hook, line, and sinker, and then ate the boat for dessert.
Fuck.
And because he used to say it to wind me up. Because he couldn't understand. He couldn't understand how we were so enamored by this fable that he called it, and he's a Jew. He said, "It's our myths, it's our traditions. Why are you guys so crazy about it when science is actually empowering you? Science is now saying, with evidence, that Africa is the home of our species. Science is now saying that all the people that denigrated us, they called us less than human, they called us all kind of names, they enslaved us. There is now evidence to say it was our own descendants. So even now, when my Igbo friends start to talk and we are joking, and they will say something, and I'll say, listen, mate, we're all African. And they'll go, yeah. But they cannot argue with the evidence. Not the ones that understand the evidence. And I think it's very, very powerful. But why is it that you have the Muslims, they're more excited about Muhammad than anything to do with Africa? They don't want to hear about biological evolution. And yet, scientists are trolling to Africa to try and understand the history of our species, even the history of disease in our species, bro, because that's our home. So just as an example, you've heard the expression, Africans are the most genetically diverse people in the world. Have you heard that before?
I don't think so.
Okay, you haven't. Okay, so what do they mean when they say Africans are the most genetically diverse people in the world? If you take two people in, say one, even in Nigeria, if you take two people in Nigeria and look at their genome, they will have more genetic diversity than if you take one person from Saudi Arabia and you took another person from, say, Argentina. And the explanation for that is where the species began is naturally where you will find the most diversity, because that's the cradle. So what that's then happened is
the veering off started.
Yes. So what then happened?
I said it last time.
I never miss an opportunity to say it. because I enjoy it. I think it's quite profound. So what then happens is those that left carried with them a subset of that genetic diversity and then went to the rest of the world. So when you look at the genetic diversity of Africans compared to everyone else, we are more genetically diverse than everybody else combined. But what's even more profound is that the genetic diversity that you find outside Africa is also a subset of that which you find in Africa. Does that make sense? I know it is over.
They don't rip us, so they don't rip us.
Yeah. But you see, they did rip us because, in fairness, they were ignorant and they were arrogant and they had their own agenda. But the same people that ripped us, their descendants are now telling you that, okay, oh yeah, we ripped you, and you are refusing to accept. Abi? Because there is I read the Times of Israel quite often. And do you know why it gives me the chuckles? Because when I read an article in the Times of Israel that's talking about ancient humans in Israel, and he's talking about the migration from Africa to Israel, and he's talking about the existence of Neanderthals in Israel who interbred with modern humans in Israel, written by scientists in Israel. It really, really amuses me because I think, and the average Nigerian will see this and just would want to kill you for even suggesting such a thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? We don't want to know. We don't want to know. We don't want to know. And I don't know whether that has something to do with the economic situation in our country, because poverty can get in the way of wanting to know certain things. You're too busy trying to make a living. Yeah. It's not easy in Nigeria. This is why I'm very loath to say, it's stupidity, because we were all religious once. We didn't suddenly gain brains when we became atheists. Abi?
Yeah.
We're no more intelligent now than how intelligent we was when we were religious. Do you see the point? Do you see the point I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people say, the religious people are stupid, I would never say that. I've met some incredibly intelligent religious people. Believing in God doesn't make you stupid. And there are many reasons why people hold on to religion. It's not easy to say something that you've held on to all your life, you suddenly throw it away and say it doesn't make sense. It's not easy.
At all.
And so I often say, yes, as frustrating as it can be engaging religious people, we really should refrain from just assuming they're stupid. It's actually arrogant of us to say such things. I would never say such things because it's simply just not true. But yes, I know debating Nigerian Christians can be, but the Muslims are even worse.
Oh shit!
Because their brainwashing is on a completely different level, bro. Completely different.
Christianity look like a walk in the park.
Yeah. Their brainwashing is a completely different level. And it actually makes me sad. It's one of the reasons why I don't engage. I don't engage religious. You notice I don't do religious debates, hardly.
Yeah.
Even on Twitter, there are quite a few people who post regularly. I might laugh or comment or just say something, but I cannot be bothered to engage because the evidence that blows their claims away is overwhelming. So for me, it would just be like I'm trying to, read poetry to goats. Yeah. Trust me, bro. Because I'll be honest with you. People say, "Are you an atheist?" It's not a word I like to use. I don't like religion, but I understand why we needed it. But I have no, especially the Abrahamic religions, I have absolutely no respect for them. I really don't. I really don't, because some of their claims I actually think are not just barbaric, but just decidedly inhumane. You know, and when you read the Bible, which I know you have done, how can you believe that? Oh yeah, humans sinned, and that's why children die of cancer. Like, come on. And even when you read the book, and you see all the crazy stuff in the book. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still enjoy studying religion. Sometimes I still listen to some gospel singers because I love their voice. But I like all religion. When I say like, I like the history. I like learning about the history. I love religious architecture. And my Oyibo friends are always shocked. But you're an atheist. I say, well, that doesn't mean I can't enjoy. Who will not enjoy a beautiful church or a beautiful mosque or a beautiful temple? You know? Anyway, let me stop talking. Let me ask another question.
Oh, like, man, how do we get out of this route? Anyway, let's continue. I have like some more questions.
Sure.
Yeah, so let's dive a little bit into speciation.
Okay.
Like, what is it? What is it all about?
Okay. Well, essentially, it's actually very simple. So,
How does it happen?
Say you have a population of primates, or apes, and they live in one side of the river. Let's just say the Congo River. I think the bonobos and the chimpanzees are a good example. If part of that population then moves somewhere else, say, I don't know, I don't want to put a time limit. Let's just say they move somewhere else and they stay there long enough so that they can no longer interbreed with their ancestral population, they have speciated. Because that's how we define it biologically, but that does come with some problems. And I will explain why. Because speciation takes time, that cutting off point can take tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years in some cases. So they're speciating rather than they have speciated. It's the reason why we were able to still interbreed with Neanderthals, even though you could definitely, just by looking at them, you could see that they'd gone far into that process of speciating, but they just haven't been genetically isolated long enough for us to be genetically incompatible. So speciation is basically a subpopulation of an ancestral population branching off, being geographically isolated long enough so that they can no longer interbreed with their ancestral population. And you see that all the time, even in animals.
Yeah.
It's just that it takes a long time. No one will deny that tigers and lions are a different species, but they can still interbreed with some problems, of course. You know, so you have tigons and ligers, but you look at them, you could see clearly they're different species. But because speciation is a continuum, which basically means it takes time for that speciation to actually occur and be complete. So within the cat family, you can still see a lot of them can still interbreed, even though when you look at them, they are a different species. So speciation is basically branching off from your ancestral population, but it takes time. And we now know that modern humans interbred with other species of humans, because you can look at the DNA and see the massive differences. Massive differences. That you think, okay, you know what? These populations have been genetically isolated for a while, but not long enough that they cannot interbreed. However, our interbreeding with Neanderthals were problematic because apparently it was only a Neanderthal. Hold on, let me see. I get this correctly. It was only a modern human male could impregnate a Neanderthal woman, but a Neanderthal man could not impregnate a modern human female.
Woman.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because obviously we were on the very edge of genetic compatibility. I think that's the explanation. So, for example, even in the equid family, there are some that can breed with each other, but their offspring is not fertile. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out which one is which. I think it is. Hold on, let me find out. Let's see, what's it? A donkey and a horse.
Okay.
What do they produce? I know a mule is not fertile. Hold on. Because hybridization sometimes comes with.
Mule is not for that. They still.
Hold on. I could be wrong. Hold on. Donkey.
Okay.
Hold on. Well, no, maybe it's not a mule. Hold on. Because even myself, I always get it confused. This is why the internet is such a wonderful thing. You can't remember everything, man.
Yeah, so can't.
Mules are usually infertile. So, because a mule is the offspring of a horse and a donkey. So, yeah. So a mule is infertile, but because horse and donkeys are still having jiggy, they will always create more mules. Okay. I think that was a question you were trying to answer, Abby. Yeah. So.
It's crazy.
But so it says a few mare mules have produced offspring when mated with a horse or a donkey. But I suppose a male mule and a female mule cannot produce a baby or have not been known. Hold on. Yeah, a mule is the offspring of a male donkey and a female horse.
Oh.
Yeah, they have different chromosome numbers. So a horse has 64 and a donkey has 62. The mule ends up with 63 chromosomes. And because of the odd number of chromosomes, they cannot reproduce. Actually, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, odd numbers of chromosomes, you'll be able to reproduce.
Well, how you go divide them?
And you have no.
If it's 63, how you go divide them now? Do you know what? I didn't even know that.
1 and a half.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, which is why knowledge is you accumulate knowledge over time, man. This is why I always say to people when they always say, you know so much. I say, listen, man, I know how little I know, and this is what keeps me very humble. Because, bro, when you think of what can be known and how little we know, my brother. People be telling me, you are intelligent. Me, I think I'm Olodo. In fact, I know I'm Olodo. Because when I think of all the stuff that I don't know.
Let alone the things you don't know.
Oh, bro. It's actually, let me open this door. The weather is very warm today. It's coming. So anyway, I think that answered that question.
Yes, it does. And I think that would drift into that the concept of survival of the fittest that they always misconstrue. Is there what's the actual? Huh?
Again, simple thing. Survival of the fittest is the ones fit enough to reproduce. That's all it is. It's not strongest though. Yeah, it's not biggest. It's not biggest though. It's not. It's just the ones that are fit enough to survive in their environment long enough to pass on their genes. So the fittest organism in an environment could be the smallest, or it could be the one that hides the best, the one that camouflages its best. Yeah. There are numerous tricks that evolution gives you to be able to survive in your environment. So survival of the fittest just means the one that can survive long enough it's the same thing, to pass on his genes. It was never meant to be the strongest, or it was never meant to justify killing others or all that nonsense that people come out with. Yeah. Basically, the organism that can survive better in its environment and live long enough to pass on its genes to its progeny. That's all it is. It works for bacteria, it works for viruses, it works for all organisms in the ocean. It's just, I don't even know why people think that basically means you have to be the asshole in in the ecosystem.
It's how it is now. You don't have God, so you have the lies. Nothing stopping you from killing people. So
Yeah, but you see, okay, I'm glad you brought that up because that is just such nonsense for the simple reason that the people that believe in this God should never really be talking about morality because what we read in their book offends anyone with even a. How is it that Christians manage to hijack the moral high ground? It always baffles me. Hold on a second, bro. The people that believe that their God created disease to kill children because children will listen to a snake dare talk about morality? Eh? In the book where we read that their God killed a man for studying the ark, they are talking about morality. In the book where we read that God killed two children because they burned incense that he didn't like, they are talking about morality. In a book where their God says, "I'm going to send you to Egypt, and you must ask Pharaoh to free my people. However, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart and make him refuse so that he will not let the people go." And then he allegedly kills children. They dare talk about morality? Is there any evidence that Christians are better behaved than anybody else? Really?
Nope.
How did they come out with this shit? This is shit. If anything, most of the stuff we read in their book is the antithesis of morality or any kind of morality. And the reason why you have moral codes in the Bible, the Mosaic law code is not actually that special. I could tell you a law code that is so much more profound than the biblical one. The Egyptian 42 Confessions of Matt. When you read it, I don't know if you've ever read it. If you have time, go and read it. It is much more profound. There were law codes in Babylonia. There were law codes in Assyria. The Hittites had their own law code called the Nephilim Code. There was the law code of Hammurabi that most of us have heard of.
Yeah.
There was the Ashura one, I think is from the Assyrians. I'm trying to remember them off the top of my head now. So here's the question you have to ask yourself. If you have different law codes coming from different populations of humans, shouldn't that tell you that the moral yearning actually came from humans? It's got nothing to do with Yahweh. There are moral codes that precede the biblical one. So clearly, before the ancient Israelites started to worship Yahweh, human beings were already understood the idea of morality. Abinau.
Yeah, it's a way we can live together in order for our species to survive.
I have a website called The Question of Morality, where I basically posited that we know humans humans made religion up. So Christianity, Islam, Zoroastrianism, Hinduism, Sikhism are all things made up by humans. And because humans made religion, they also made their religion a framework for their moral instincts, right?
Yeah.
And this is why the law codes are different wherever you go. However, people who were never introduced to the Christian God also had moral yearnings. So what does that tell you? Do not lie, do not cheat, and do not be lazy is an old Inca code that they have had even before they Amasua, Amalula, Amaquela. So even before they met Christians, they knew don't lie. They knew don't steal. They knew don't be lazy. 42 confessions of my heart. I will tell you some of the things that it says. So when Christians talk about their insignificant law code, it is nonsense, right? Hold on, let me find it because I love doing this. Just some of them. I have not committed sin. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. I have not slain men or women. I have not destroyed the grain. I have not reduced measures, basically cheated. I have not stolen the God's properties. I have not told lies. That's from ancient Egypt. Now Yahweh tell them that one. Hmm? Do you understand what I'm getting at though, bro?
Yeah.
All humans had moral instincts. And as a matter of fact, if the ancient Israelites had not had any moral instincts before Yahweh supposedly gave them the Ten Commandments, they would have never reached the place. They would have killed each other before they got there.
Oh, yeah.
We know that Neanderthals, humans who you cannot say have ever heard of Yahweh, cared for each other. We know they lived in groups. We know they looked after their old. We know they looked after their sick. We've seen the evidence. Now Yahweh tell them that.
If he be. Yahweh had a Neanderthal Moses that guided them through.
No, bro. It's actually insulting. It's nonsense. What you read about their God, they really shouldn't be talking about morality to anybody. Because for me, like people are always shocked when I say, for me, the Bible is actually a disgusting piece of literature. Honestly. Yeah, it's got some nice bits in it about Jesus and all that, but at the same time, it's the same Jesus who is purported to have said, if you don't accept the story, we're going to turn you into suya. We're going to roast you forever. Meister. Yeah, innit? So,
suya Meister, trademark.
I would turn you into suya kinder. I mean, come on. No Christian can talk to me about morality. They will not last 5 minutes. They will not last 5 minutes. When you read, especially the Old Testament, I mean, come on. Morality and even self, even if we throw all that away, can you then say, okay, because they believe in their God, they are better behaved than everybody else?
The evidence is plenty to the contrary.
Of course. Who were the people that sold other people into slavery? Obviously, they did it with the help of other Africans. But
those who were just claiming to be Christian, they weren't really Christians.
Of course, they were Christian. The biblical God said it was okay to keep slaves. Again, Nigerians do not know this. I know the passage very, very well. I don't know. Do you know? Do you know about this?
The slavery passages?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So I keep them handy every time.
Their God said, "Oh yeah, now you can keep slaves, but you cannot keep Hebrew or Israelite slaves. However, you can keep slaves from the neighbors and the foreigners that are living around you. You can enslave them. You can enslave their children, and you can pass them on to your children as property." I mean, like, seriously?
Majority of them just wave it off with different excuses. It's that time. But when you want to condemn gay people, you remember the Old Testament. Kill them. Nice.
It's scary what they do. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really engage. I haven't got the energy. You know, I haven't got the energy. I'm not really interested. I'm more interested in trying to learn my science. Religion doesn't really interest me as much. I just think it's a relic of the past. It's just unfortunate that people still hold on to it. But, you know, I'm not saying that all religious people are bad. Of course not. You know, the ideology itself is bad.
Yep.
Of that, I have no doubts. Because first and foremost, it's just not true. And then some of the claims are just absolutely disgusting. I don't understand how anyone can read some of the stuff that's in the Bible and not find it objectionable. You know, how is it you can read where someone is saying kill children and take the women prisoner and keep the virgins for yourself?
Like that's like massive. When I saw that, I was like, what? They didn't just kill the men; they killed women who had already had sex. And how do they? How would they know?
Well, they didn't. They probably just killed everyone. And they just looked at the pretty girls. Probably the pretty girls probably survived.
Little children, little girls.
Yeah. They'll keep all the 10-year-olds. Yeah, bro. It's just. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I said, let's leave this theology a little. Go back to evolution because it just make one's blood boil per second. Like fuck. The atrocities in that book, and they raise up that book like it's some epitome of morality. Like what the fuck? What the fuck, man? Yeah, I remember one question. This like the difference between micro and macro evolution. I've seen it come up sometimes. What are they about? Micro evolution, macro evolution.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem is, listen, it's for me, it's just a clever way of saying they accept micro evolution, which is small changes, that are incremental changes within an organism, and then macro is essentially where they're expecting to see the speciation that you were talking about. Obviously, because of the limited time span of a human lifetime, you're gonna be hard pressed to see the macroevolution that they're generally talking about. So basically, the way creationists misrepresent it is they're thinking, I haven't seen a duck change into a dog. Yeah, but you're not gonna see that. And there's no such. I mean, biologists don't look at microevolution or macroevolution. That's just something cooked up by people who really want to muddy the waters. You know, all evolution is just change. It's just changing. Like I said, changing the frequency of the genes. So when they say microevolution, they know they can't discount microevolution because you can't see it, because it happens so quickly, especially when you're looking at bacteria and viruses, which mutate quite a lot. So they cannot deny that, but they know you're going to be hard pressed to show evidence of, say, major structural changes in an organism in our lifetime. Because what's the average lifespan of a human being? 70 years.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. You're not going to see it, but we can see the evidence. Like we know, for example, that whales are descended from animals that used to live on land. And so are dolphins, and so are manatees. The evidence is there because you can see the relics of their ancestral origin in their fossils. Some whales still have vestigial limbs. Some whales still have the genes to grow hair. They don't need it. Yeah. Some whales still have the genes to smell, or the olfactory genes that you need on land. They still have it even though they live in the water. Well, why have they got that? Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. Why have they got that? It's actually no good to them. You know, and they breathe air. Why would God create an animal that lives in the ocean that has to come up?
They bust my head.
Yeah?
As in that part where whales don't breathe in water, when I first found it, I was like, how?
Oh, did you not know?
No, I knew, but when I was young, when I found out like maybe years ago, like possibly in university, that I discovered like, huh?
Yeah, but have you
what do you say?
Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, I noticed they always, when they come up and they start shooting water out of their hole and all those things.
But that's just for breathing. Yeah. Fish move from side to side when they swim. Whales don't. Whales move like land animals, up and down, even in the water. Because of the way their skeleton is constructed. They cannot swim from side to side. And
So
there's so much. I'm trying to find.
they swim like a wave, like a sine wave up down.
Yeah, because they're moving like animals. They're basically moving the animal that's running on land. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
They're basically moving like animals that live on land, and in their embryonic stage, they grow limbs, and then they disappear. So the evidence that whales are descended from land animals is obvious. But the kind of macroevolution that they're talking about, you're not going to see. But it doesn't really matter, really, does it? Because you can look at the evidence and you can see that dolphins descended from land animals, manatees descended from land animals. Basically, all the aquatic, all the.
Can I try something like with what you said? If I've gotten properly with that duck and dog comparison, when they are trying to do that macro evolution, like show how a duck becomes a dog.
You mean you ask?
Yeah, I want to just see if I've gotten anything today. What is in my head? Like the reason why that can't happen is because duck and dog, they have a starting point in the evolutionary process from different sources. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's basically the crux of it, man.
So they can never become each other because they have a different.
No. They come from different lineages, man. It's not going to happen. It's just that's just not how. That's not even what evolution claims. It's just these dumbasses just come up with stuff that they pull out of their own ass. A dog is not gonna a duck is not gonna turn into a dog. A crocodile is not gonna. I was gonna say a crocodile is not gonna turn into a bird. I'm actually closely related to birds. People don't understand, for example, that crocodiles are the closest relatives to birds. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Oh, yeah. Crocodiles are the closest relatives to birds genetically. And there's actually been experiments that have reverse engineered chicken embryos to grow teeth.
Oh.
They still have the genes to grow teeth. But the teeth that they grow is most closely to a crocodile teeth.
Oh, so that's because I know that chickens are like descendants of the dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, birds, not just chicken, birds. Birds are dinosaurs. Birds are basically descended from the lineage of dinosaurs that survived.
So that's why Jurassic Park depictions of dinosaurs are closer related to
because we knew some. Because we knew some dinosaurs had feathers, and also because we know dinosaurs and the crocodilian lineage are cousins. So dinosaurs are closely related to crocodiles, and actually there was a time in history where there were more crocodilians on Earth than there were dinosaurs. It was actually crocodiles that were the top predators, crocodilians, for a long time. And they had hundreds of different crocodiles. You had bipedal crocodiles, you had vegetarian crocodiles, you had crocodiles with horns, you had all different type of crocodiles. You had crocodiles that didn't even look like the crocodiles that we recognize today. Simosuchus looks like a cute, almost baby-faced crocodile. Armadillosuchus looks like an armadillo and a cross between an armadillo and a crocodile. And when I went to Paris, I saw the fossil of this huge crocodilian called Sarcosuchus, the 40-foot croc. And again, these are just different types of crocodilians that we know existed but are now extinct. So evolution is, bro, do you know what? Do you know what makes me even more sad? Evolution is such an amazing thing, especially when you understand how many animals we know that used to exist. And the ones that we know used to exist during a particular period.
That was the next question I'm about to ask. This is extinction. Like what we could learn evolutionary from extinction.
Well, extinction is amazing because it basically shows you that at a particular period in time, the ecosystem in a particular area was like this, and then some catastrophe will occur, and these animals will go extinct because those are the survival of the, when we say survival of the fittest, the ones that were not fit enough to live, to survive long enough to pass on their genes, what happens to them? They go extinct.
Dorime.
But then,
I said Dorime, they will die. Yeah.
yes. And then what then happens is they leave a gap in the habitat for other animals to later on evolve and fill that niche. So what we see, what people don't understand is that the fossil record is so amazing that when people are talking about what's not there, they really should concentrate on what actually is there. So say, for example, we know the fossil record of dinosaurs is quite rich and quite sequential. So T-Rex, for example, didn't turn up till the late Cretaceous. So when I say the late Cretaceous, I think, hold on, so that I don't get my figures wrong, I know it ended 66 million years ago. I just want to make sure when it began. Cretaceous period, 145 million to 66 million years ago. T-Rex basically didn't turn up in the fossil record till about 85 million years ago, if my memory is correct. Eoraptor is an early dinosaur. Herrerasaurus is an early dinosaur. Coelophysis is an early dinosaur. So when I say all that, what does it mean? We know that dinosaurs started very, very small. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. The earliest dinosaurs were literally like size of a small dog. And then you can see through the fossil record as they get bigger and bigger, and you can see that some dinosaurs that we see in films, some of them didn't even live together. T-Rex and Stegosaurus would have never met because they lived at different times. You can pick any animal you like, and it's the same thing. We can see through the fossil record that certain animals only lived at a certain time, then they died out, and other animals came and take their place. You can do the same with elephants. The earliest elephants were tiny, and there were different kinds. There were hundreds of different types of elephants. Elephants that had no tusks, elephants that had 4 tusks, elephants that had shovels instead of tusks, all sorts. Elephants that had tusks that pointed downwards. The Dinotheriums, their tusks pointed downwards. Stegotetrabelodon had 4 tusks. What's the other one? It's done in my head.
Mammoth.
Yeah, mammoths obviously they had tusks, but they were a different lineage. So you had mammoths, you had mastodons, you had gomphotheres, and they're all different, and they all lived in different places. Moetherium is an early elephantid, tiny thing, probably the size of a small goat. Yeah, had no tusks, but yeah, we knew it was related to the elephants. So many, bro. You can use the same thing for crocodilians. Some crocodiles lived earlier, some crocodiles lived later, some dinosaurs lived earlier, some dinosaurs lived later, some cats lived earlier, some cats lived later. You can literally go through virtually every single or most animal lineages that you can think of, and the fossil record is actually sequential. So, for example, I don't know if I mentioned it in the last podcast we did. There are these things in geology called index fossils. And the reason they call them index fossils is that when you look in the fossil record, all over the world, you can see that in particular layers, you only find a specific assemblage of fossils, which means those animals only lived during that time.
Yeah.
Now, why is this important? When oil companies are used to, up until maybe fairly recently, for nearly 60, 70 years, oil companies would hire micropaleontologists who are paleontologists who study microfossils. So these are small fossils that are found in marine sediments because they're digging for oil. And because they have a rough idea of how old an outcrop needs to be before they're likely to find oil, they also know what fossils are likely to tell them how old the outcrop is. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a deposit that's, say, 230 million years old, and you think that's where you're going to find oil, you also know that there are particular microfossils that only live during that period. So when they drill down and they bring up drill cuttings, the micropaleontologists will look at it and say, yeah, I can see so-and-so, they're called, some of them are called forams or foraminifera. It will say, okay, I can see these particular types of forams, and they're basically suggesting that this is how old this is. Yes, we're likely to find oil here. And bro, the oil companies use that for decades. Why does it work? It only works because evolution is fucking true. Evolution is fucking true, because otherwise there will just be different microfossils all over the place. We won't be able to make head or tail of anything, would they?
Should I tell you I'm laughing? Like, a lot of these American evangelicals, their politicians are funded by oil money.
Yeah, but they don't listen, man. You cannot blame these con men for trying to keep the con going, because they're not expecting their followers to go and do the research.
Yeah.
Virtually every thread I've been on Twitter, every thread, and I mean every thread, when I say, explain to me why oil companies hire micropaleontologists, there have never been one person that can come back and respond. Because they know the ramifications of the question. Don't get me wrong, some of them don't even understand the question.
They're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, but the ones that do, and once you start to point them out to why oil companies relied on micropaleontology for so long, and why index fossils are such a thing, they just go away. They don't come back and argue. Because at the very least, index fossils show that we know for a fact, say trilobites, for example, we know what the earliest trilobites look like. I'm writing about this in my book as we actually speak. We know what the trilobites are, marine arthropods that lived between the Cambrian and the end of the Ordovician period. They're basically, I call them aquatic cockroaches. Okay. Even though they had hard shells, so they're not really, they look like, I'm going to send you a picture. Hold on. Do I have you on WhatsApp?
Yes.
Hold on. Yeah, I do. Okay, let me send you a picture of a trilobite. This is what they look like, that you'll enjoy the color pictures even better. Because I'm writing a book at the moment, so I'm having to run it about trilobites there. And they differ through time. Man, I'm hungry, man. They differ through time.
Oh,
so over time.
It's been 2 hours. Wow. Let's wrap up.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Bloody hell. Me, I didn't look at time, bro.
You reached me, you're hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed that the hunger was really, my stomach was really starting to cry. Hold on, let me find this picture. Where is it? I saw it not so long. I'm coming, my brother. I really want to send you this. This is a nice picture as well, but it shows you the variety of trilobites. Bro, the fossil record is amazing, man. It really is. Okay, I can't find it. I'll look for it and I'll send it later.
Okay.
But yeah, we should do this again.
Yeah, this has been awesome.
Yeah, it's always fun. You know, I like to talk. So.
It has been educative. Like,
it's all good, man.
I've taken some things and put into my arsenal.
We live to learn.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all good. It's all good. Let me go and find something to eat.
All right, now. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please subscribe up Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other places you find podcasts. Then check out the show notes for links you may find useful, including our Discord server. We'd love to have you there. Have a great week. and I will catch you on the next one.